Well, hi guys. I am going to get started, even though the music is probably preferable than talking about the edTPA. But it is why we're here, isn't it? So thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate the time that you take out of your day to help and learn ways to help our candidates. So let's just get started. My name is Terrell Yates.
Yes.
And
No, you're not.
And I will just remind everybody to try to stay on mute because we have about 90 people on this call. So I'm Terrell Yates. I'm the edTPA coordinator with Clemmer College at ETSU. And I'm hosting this, but I'm definitely not the most knowledgeable person you're going to hear from today. I also have with me some graduate students. So Jessica, if you could unmute and say hey.
Hey.
Jessica is one of our MAT students, and she's going to be helping us present today. And then Morgan.
Hello, everyone.
Morgan is also one of our MAT students, and they're both in our secondary ed program. Jessica's going to, she's currently in her residency 1, and she's in English, and Morgan is in residency 1, and he's going to be a French teacher. And we also have Cameron Williams here, and nothing happens without our graduate assistants. So, woo, graduate assistant, we love you. Thank you so much for all you do to make my my job something that can actually get done.
No problem.
Yes, we have some goals today. First of all, I want to emphasize the 2 types of acceptable recordings for edTPA. We're going to talk about some optional paths if edTPA is not possible, which should only be in rare occasions. And we're going to give an overview of some possibilities of how we can get some great evidence with synchronous online recordings on Task 2. So we're just really scratching the surface today. Our teacher candidates are going to be fully supported by their program faculty, and we're here today to discuss some basics. So you will walk away today with some answers, but you're likely to walk away today with also more questions. Just as a housekeeping thing, we are going to be doing breakout rooms today. So if you go into the upper right-hand corner of your own little square, you'll see 3 little dots. And if you click those 3 little dots, you'll see an option to rename. And if you would put a number within your name, then that will help Cameron get you to the correct breakout room when we get ready to do breakout rooms. For example, my name, I'm going to be with elementary today, so I would put in number 2, Terrell Yates. Or I could just stick a 2 at the end of my name. That would be fine too. So if you could just put in 1, and if you don't know where you belong, that's okay. You can ask in the chat. You can put in the chat box, you know, where you go, that you go to, that you teach at a specific school, and that'll be a clue. Somebody will be able to help you to know which number to put down. And if that doesn't work, then when it comes time for breakout rooms, we'll ask you and we'll get you to the right place. No worries. So there's some important dates I'm sure you're going to want to know. We're hoping, that's a big finger cross, big fingers crossed, that our recording will be done by the middle of February. And that's a goal. It's never set in stone. But if students do have their recording done for edTPA by the middle of February, then that means that they have a chance to be able to go through and get things fixed. If they have things that are off, they can re-record if they have to, even if their evidence didn't have sound or you couldn't see. All those types of things can be fixed. About the middle of March, we don't know when exactly, all of the students will go to their second placement. So since they're getting evidence in their first placement, they need to have all of their evidence for their edTPA gathered by the middle of March before they go to the second placement. Otherwise, they're going to be running pretty short of time. They're going to upload, and these are the dates. If they're K-5 and they are in what we consider main campus, they're going to upload on April Fool's Day because I've got such a good sense of humor. I would do that to those poor people. And then on April 5th will be early childhood, and that's for main campus and for our cohorts. And then April the 6th will be K-5 cohorts and special ed. Now, K-5 cohort, when I say cohort, John Mooneyham, would you explain to people what I mean when I say cohort?
Sure, I just had to find myself there to know where I was looking at. Yeah, so we have a ETSU Sevierville campus. It was previously housed at the Walter State Morristown campus, but we've since combined the Sevierville and Morristown cohort programs into one program in one building at the ETSU Sevierville campus. And so if you have a student who is in the Sevierville area, Morristown area, or likely some of the outerlying regions not close to Washington County and main campus in Johnson City, they're more than likely a cohort student. I think we have 25 or 23 total maybe. And so if that's you, you are number 3. So that's the cohort student group.
Thank you so much for that explanation. I appreciate it. I use cohort all the time, and I know what it means in my mind, but I'm not exactly sure who all the different school systems are. Okay. So I need everybody to, if they will, go ahead and make sure that they are on mute, and that will prevent us from getting any sort of feedback like that. We have a big group, and that's so exciting. I see 70 participants, and we had 90 sign up, so that's pretty good attendance. There are really 2 ways that we can have acceptable video evidence for task 2. One is live and in person, and the other is a synchronous lesson using screen recording software like what I'm using now. Sorry. And what you could do with the screen recording device software. We're going to be talking about that today. So plan A is not what this is about. Recording in person, we have lots of experience with that. There's probably someone in your building who's already had a student teacher do it. So we are not focusing on recording in person today. What we will be focusing on is recording synchronous instruction. And the difference is that when you see this synchronous instruction, you see this instructor and she has students with her. So what I'm doing now is synchronous instruction. Asynchronous instruction would be like if I were to create a video with just Tyrrell Yates yapping and nobody else to help me interact. That would be asynchronous. We cannot use asynchronous instruction for the edTPA. Now, there are some scenarios that edTPA has set up for us to look at. One is scenario 1, which is plan B. Remember, plan A is videoing in person. Plan B means that you can record your video with a synchronous online software. Scenario 2, we're going to talk about in a minute. That means that your school system, or for some reason, your setting does not allow you to do any recording in the classroom. And then the last one is if you are only doing asynchronous instruction. Those are the 3 scenarios. And in your Google Drive, there is a paper that says important links, and that has got a lot of, it's got this web page that you can go to look at this yourself. But if you are in scenario 1, that's fine. That means that you're just recording like I am now. We can remove names from students. We can use fake names. They can just put their first name. They can call themselves Donald Duck. They can do whatever they want to. They can also use avatars and emojis. instead of their name. So their identity is really very well protected in this particular situation. No extra paperwork has to be done with this anymore. We did last spring if we did it that way, but not this year. So really it's just a matter of students correctly filling out their, when they register, noting that they're either traditional, virtual, or blended, and following some of the rules. Now, some people, though, can't record in person. They can't record a synchronous lesson. So that puts it as Plan C. And Plan C is really not a very good plan. Plan C, this is if your school system will not let you record any evidence. This usually happens in hospital settings or in situations where the students are very well protected. In this case, you can still submit a edTPA, but your task 2 evidence would be from an audio recording or a written transcript. Now, what's crummy about that is that if you're not allowed to record, how do you get a transcript? You get a scribe. That is a person who sits and scribes from the classroom. So that is not a good alternative. I'm hoping we don't have anybody at this spot here. So, spoiler alert, let's just forget Plan C. Let's just forget it. Let's pretend we never knew it was there. We're going to go A or B. Now, like I say, because it does require that there be scribed. If you have an audio recording, then there could be a transcription. You could do it that way. But if you're allowing audio recording, then you would just submit the audio recording, right? So we want to stay away from the red one, especially because this is in situations where students, for various reasons, cannot deliver asynchronous instruction. And I understand, I really do get it, I promise you. We've got school systems who, when people go virtual, their students get a packet sent home. There are situations where, like with PE, this comes up a lot. The specials are sometimes only taught asynchronously. But this is really not a good scenario for our candidates. And so we want to avoid it if possible, because if we have someone that cannot meet the video requirements, then we have to call that an undue hardship. And we do have a local policy, and all this is in the Google Drive, where if there is a person that has a hardship that absolutely cannot, no matter what, we try, record their lesson, then that person goes and completes this hardship request, and it would be approved by an associate dean. And at that point, the person would still do task 1 and task 3, and then additionally, they would take the Praxis PLT. So there is still a path to licensure. I'm just telling you, it's a little rocky. So we want to keep these hardship claims very true to form. They really are a hardship. And there are going to be those situations, and we're prepared for them, we're ready for them, we're not unsympathetic, but it can't just be someone who just didn't get around to video recording, right? That's not fair to the other students. So let's take our focus back to recording synchronous instruction. If you haven't done a lot of this, you probably might not know what edTPA recording is. They're going to record their entire learning segment that they're going to teach, and from that they're going to pull 2 video clips. Now, this is from an elementary handbook. Everybody handbook has this information on page 19 or 20-ish, around there. And it's also in the back of the artifact chart. But they're going to, from those 2 clips, they're going to pull out from that, all of the videotaping, they're going to pull out 2 clips, usually that are like 3 to 15 minutes or 3 to 20 minutes combined. All of that is very laid out in the handbook. And they have to be continuous minutes. So you can't choose 3 minutes at the beginning and 3 minutes at the end and merge them. They have to be continuous minutes. And if you do a virtual learning environment, synchronous online, you can do it with a minimum of 4 students in the class. Most handbooks is what they have. So one of the things to consider, you want to make sure that you check the video and sound quality. Going in and recording an online synchronous lesson is not something you want to do for the first time the day you're recording evidence for a teaching exam. It takes practice. I have learned all kinds of things this semester that I didn't even know existed. So they need to be able to practice with this. There's just a lot of little rules that really aren't a big deal, but just things to keep in mind. It has, like I said, to be continuous, unedited, no interruption in events. If they have students that they recorded that they weren't supposed to record, for example, they recorded and they never got the permission slip, then they'll need to blur the faces of those students. They should avoid using the name of the state, the school, the district in their video, and use only first names for the people in the video. And like we said, they're now allowing them to use avatars and emojis, and you can always just put the first name. So like we've said, it's going to be 4 students. They need to be seen and heard through the video. So just recently they've decided that it's okay if you can't see one, but you can hear it. You can hear it. I'm sorry, the child. You can hear the child, the person. But you have to be able to see the candidate's face at some point. So this is a key thing we have to keep in mind, because if the candidate's face is not clear in the video, then it could push a condition code, which means that it's unscorable. Like I say, in your Google Drive, you'll find a folder that says edTPA official stuff. And there's when you're going to see some guidance for these alternative arrangements. And it gets very specific. If you keep going down that document, you'll see that there are some specific arrangements that can be made for early childhood, for PE, all the different content areas. So students need to familiarize themselves with Zoom, Google Hangouts, anything they can. They will need to have a device with a camera. They'll maybe even have some web-based screen recorder software, what we're going to talk about. They should use Collage and Gallery View. They will also need to learn how to, and they'll get helped by our folks here on campus in our technology lab. How to trim these video files. There are whiteboard features, they can use those, and they're accepting some additional types of evidence this time. So for example, if you've got if you've used the chat feature, then you can screenshot the chat and put that at the end of the task 2 for additional evidence. So they have added some additional evidence that you can add to the end of task 2, and there is no page limit. So transcripts, screen captures, all these things. Some of the stuff that Morgan's going to talk about today, you'll see how it's going to be beneficial. A couple of things about Zoom. Oops. Hang on a minute. I want to share my screen, and we start that over. You can see right there.
We cannot hear the audio in the video.
Ah, thank you. I'm so sorry. I thought I went back and changed that so that you would hear it. Really what I want you to get is this one thing. So tell me if you can hear it now. Example, I can have a portion of the screen, or I can do content from a second camera. So for example, if I had, so looking right here, you can see what it is that I did not do. I did not click share computer sound. So when you are sharing a video or your presentation has sound from the computer, you need to click that because it's not a default. And it is extremely easy to forget. I forget it almost every time, even though I'm getting ready to demonstrate to you to turn that on, I still forgot it. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, let's keep going. And Morgan, can you see my PowerPoint?
Yes,
Okay.
I can.
All right, so here on the Zoom, there are plenty of settings, and you may not realize that there's a setting, and then you've got meeting, you've got these other tabs. And if you go to recording, then you can change how Zoom records. So you can record, for example, a gallery view with a shared screen, which is really what you want. Also, you can unclick display participants' names in recording. That's something good to know. When you're using Screencastomatic, which is something that I use, and I'm going to let Jessica talk to you about Screencastify. But what Screencastomatic does, and give me a thumbs up if you hear it. So I just wanted to show you what Screencast-matic looks like when you open it up. Here are all the videos that I've made on Screencast-matic. I can go back in and edit these after I've done them. Generally speaking, I just upload them straight to YouTube once I've finished. And it's just so easy to do. All you do is just go up here and you click Launch Recorder, and you're done. I love it. When you're finished, you just click the button and it asks you, do you want this to go to YouTube? And the reason I like it so much is because it is so easy to use. It's very easy to edit. And just remember, again, you have got to tell it to record computer audio. That, again, is just not set as a default for yes. There are some people who decide to do setting up 2 cameras. Let's look what that looks like. So this recording is just to show how I've got the video camera set up. And you can see me. And then when I turn it this way, you no longer see the video camera, but the video camera can see the screen.
Gotcha.
Which is what you can see. So I've had fun with my GA practicing with this. Here's another 2 camera demonstration. It's the same day. This is what the camera's capturing.
You want me to start sending you around rooms?
Yes, go ahead and send me.
So this way you can see me go around to breakout rooms.
Okay.
Zoom won't record. It's very frustrating, and that's why you have to have the screen recording on top of it. So I've entered a breakout room.
So were you all able to read the questions in chat?
I have it on mine.
Oh,
You do?
okay.
I don't have it in mine, so I will.
Lucky me, getting to teach these great kids. And then this is if I record my screen while I'm doing Zoom. So this is where I've used Screencastomatic, and I recorded my screen while I'm using Zoom. I am going to go visit room 1.
validating that statement.
And the reason you can't hear is because I forgot to click that silly thing on Screencastomatic. Where do you want to record computer sounds? This is one, there is a recording function with Google Classroom, and the student discovered that it will actually record the entire screen. If you
chiming in and kind of giving me some details about this. When did the Battle of Britain take place? Documents while doing your assignment. So don't worry too much about that. Just keep in mind you should take notes on all of the territories. It allowed the Royal Air Force to gain track.
So that's using the screen recording with Google Classroom, and this is using a document camera. Let's see.
All right, so
Do you remember when I showed you
the sentence?
Well, it says that raised him.
Him
on
showing
Zoom?
that
So
he's
she's
like
actually
struggling.
used Zoom.
Okay, perfect. It doesn't
And
really.
what she's done is that she's plugged her document camera into this, and it's worked with Zoom. So that's pretty awesome. And then here's someone who's used OBS Studio. Oops. I can't get to that link. Okay, well, we're just going to go forward. So I think you get the idea. I'm going to let, I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to let Jessica take over. And she's going to tell you about another piece of software.
Okie dokes. So I'll just dive right in, and I'm going to share my screen with everybody. And thank you for the reminder for the sound, because I probably would have forgotten myself. It says to share my computer audio, I'm going to have to restart the application. Let me see. Hold on. I just got. Okie dokes. So the first thing you want to do, Google Screencastify. You pull it up here. And what I really liked about Screencastify is, well, for one, everything, but for two, all it was an extension on your Chrome. So it was super easy to do. You might have seen how it was blue just a second ago, but I've already installed it. And what it does is once it's on your Google Chrome, it goes to the very top up here with your little extensions. So it is very readily accessible on your web page. If you do not use Google Chrome, that's okay. You can use Safari. I personally would recommend downloading Google Chrome just because we're about to dive into more Google products, like including Google Drive. So, but we'll get back to that. Very easy stuff. Once you've done the download, all you do is click the little icon at the top of your screen and a little box will come up. And so this is just going to ask you off the bat, what do you want to do? You can do just your browser tab, and that is just your internet. You can do the desktop, which is what I like to share simply because I'm going back and forth between the internet and the PowerPoints and different documents I have on my computer. So I always do desktop. Or if you were just wanting to record a lesson or an activity that you wanted to put, you can do just webcam only. And then you can post that wherever your online learning takes place. The microphone, I always keep it on as well, just because you want to hear me while recording. Same thing with the audio for the students. So what I did was I recorded it and then I listened to it without checking first. So do check, make sure your security and privacy is unlocked. Apple is a little bit more finicky than I think other computers typically are, but that can be fixed in your system preferences under your privacy. So just make sure that's good. But I didn't do any of those things and it turned out okay. So Screencastify, I think what it does is it asks you at the forefront, is it okay to share your microphone? Is it okay to share your camera? Put yes for both. And then the last little thing right here is embed webcam. Again, I admit another boo-boo, because what you can't do is you can't record your Zoom video playing your face in Zoom and recording with Screencastify. That sounds very simple when I say it out loud, but I just didn't know that. So I was very panicked when I realized that I needed to turn off one or the other. So when I show you guys my video later, you'll see at the bottom right-hand corner, Screencastify puts my little image so I can see what I look like. But unfortunately, my kids weren't able to see that unless I was screen sharing. So I was screen sharing, so they saw, but it would have been better if my face was more visible in Zoom, just because that's what they were using as well. Okay, so then all you do is click record. You click your screen. You share that. It's recording. Gives you a little countdown to let you know. You can put stop sharing at the bottom right here. I generally just hide that away. I don't want to see it. And then when you're done, after your lesson's done and everything's over with, you just click the icon again. And the little box will show back up. Sorry, my computer's a little slow. And at this point, you can pause the recording if you wanted to take a break between transitions or what have you, if that's what you wanted to do, or you can just stop it altogether, which I will. And what that does is it automatically opens, as you see, the little Screencastify website. And now it's loading my video, and it's loading it automatically to Google Drive. Oh, great. It's automatically loading to Google Drive, which what I said before is I am a big Google fan, so I have Google Drive and Google Docs and all this stuff. So that's easy for me because at that point, I can share the link with Mamaw Yates if I wanted to in an email or anything that may not support a large video, or I can share it to YouTube, which I know for the edTPA we're not supposed to do, but if you wanted to do that for your personal recordings, you can. An embed code, email, and of course, I just download the original copy to my computer, so there's that. I can export it. I can export just the audio, which is interesting. Or I can make a GIF. So you can become an internet legend if you wanted to do that too. But once that is done, you can trim your video right off the bat, which I liked as well because I had a lot of before and after recording that was just me talking and really just irrelevant to my assignment. So you can do that there, do it at the end, and then once you save this, it will save it as the only copy. So that's why I always download the original file and then I trim it and then I just save that one too, just so I can have multiple videos. So that is the main basis of Screencastify. It does the recording, and I can go right to my Google Drive, and just to show you how lovely this Screencastify is, it automatically puts it at the forefront of my recents if my internet loads any faster. So there's my new video, automatically up front, ready for me to share or open and watch or whatever. So, are there any questions so far? Because I'm about to go into the next part of it. Okay, so Screencastify is a great app. I really do like it. It's very user-friendly, it's cute, it's bubbly. Frankly, it's accessible. I'm not tech savvy, so if that is you, this might be the app for you. It took me maybe a maximum of 10 minutes to navigate. So again, it's very easy to do. The only difference is I did not know at the beginning that it only records up to 5 minutes for the free version. So if you wanted to record unlimited, you would have to pay for the package, and that is $30. So it's pretty accessible. $30 is not a lot of money to drop in the moment. But if, say, you were on a budget and you didn't want to spend $30, you could always talk to your school board and see what you can do with the faculty there. Likewise, the editing package is also $30 because Screencastify wants to make their money. I personally did not buy the editing package, but if you wanted to, it's there. It's just as user accessible. So if you're not good at editing, maybe that's an option for you. But more importantly, you can download your video on your computer and you can open that video back up in any kind of editing software you want to, whether that's OBS or Adobe or any of the other examples Ms. Mamaw Yates had. So that was it for me. Are there any questions? Other questions? Okay. And I guess it's Morgan's turn.
Yes, Morgan, you'll share your screen, won't you?
Yes, I will, as soon as I unmute my video.
Yes.
Okay,
And don't forget to click the little check mark.
Okay, so let me move everyone out of the way so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so today I'm going to be talking about Nearpod, and Nearpod is one of my favorite tools to use, and whenever Mamalia asked me to talk to you all about what I thought would be useful for the edTPA, the tech tools that I thought would be useful, I immediately thought of Nearpod for Task 2 and Task 3. So Nearpod is an interactive web-based presentation software where students can follow along with the lesson without the teacher needing to share their screen. You can either give them a link or a code, kind of like a Kahoot, and then they'll be able to follow it along on their own screen, and you don't have to worry about sharing your screen with them. The other thing that I love about it is teachers can see most activities happening in real time, and Nearpod will also save the student work for you to review at the end of the lesson. Nearpod can also be used for asynchronous work, so if you had a homework assignment that you wanted students to do, you could do that as well. So that's a lot about Nearpod in just one little bit, and I want to show you all a clip of a video where I was using Nearpod in my class, and that way you can see what I mean by when I say you can watch students work in real time. And during this video, I do go through and I explain my reasonings behind why I love it. So I'm just going to let the video talk for me. Hello everyone. So I'm going to show you why I love Nearpod and using it in a virtual learning environment. So to give you a little bit of context, this is a lesson that I taught. The students are about to do their exit ticket at the end of class, and I'm using the Draw It feature on Nearpod. Okay, so on the right hand side we have the Nearpod, and on the left hand side we have our video call. So if we look at the right hand side, we see Draw It background image. This is the actual worksheet. Now for students, of course, this is going to be a lot bigger, a lot clearer. It's just for this video, we won't be able to see it as well. So I've started giving them instructions about what I want them to do with their exit ticket, and continuing to talk about a project that we have. But I can then, as I'm talking, watch what they're writing. We see that students are starting to light up in yellow, and I can see the text that they're starting to put on their screen. And as we go through, I can start to see when they submit it. And so it's a really great way to monitor student engagement. And I think that's so important because, especially in the virtual learning environment, I can watch them work. I know that they're there. I know that they're participating. And it also acts when I record my video like we're doing now. I can say, oh, students are engaged in the activity, as you can see here. And I can highlight that for my edTPA score, showing them that students are being, are engaged in this writing activity. They're doing it to the best of their abilities. And it also gives me a chance to give students feedback in real time as well. I know that I can click on so-and-so's name and pull up their responses and read over it and be like, oh, hey, you didn't use a complete sentence like the instruction said. And I don't have to wait until after the fact. I can give them that feedback immediately in this virtual learning environment. And that's why I love it so much. Okay, so that was just a basic example of how I use Nearpod in my classes when I teach. Like I said, I love it for the ability to see what they're writing. To me, it gives me a sense of being back in the classroom where I can circulate and I can see what they're doing and I can give them that feedback. And so it gives me that power back, where without Nearpod, I feel like I can't do that as much. So how do you build a Nearpod? If you can create a Google Slides presentation or a PowerPoint, you can create some awesome Nearpods. It's super easy. And creating the presentation is the hardest part. So you create your presentation just like you normally would, and then you go through and figure out where you'd like to insert activities for students to complete using the Nearpod add-on, which is through Google. So we don't have a lot of time to go into all of the in-depth procedures, but I did make a handout for you all where it talks you through the basics of adding in activities for Nearpod presentations, and that is available in the Google Drive folder. So you all can check it out. The handout is called Nearpod Made Easy. Okay, so let's talk about the different assignments and data that we can collect and do with students. So of course, multiple choice quizzes, you can collect all of that data. You can do written responses, you can do open-ended questions, or like I showed you in that video, that draw it feature, I can make worksheets and have students write on those. You can do audio recordings through the open-ended question feature. It's an option with that. If you do art, you can have students do drawings. You can embed Flipgrid prompts. There are vocabulary games. You can embed videos with interactive questions. There's so much you can do with Nearpod, and so there's so much data that you can collect from your students. So here are some examples of student work. So on the top left, we have the exit ticket that you saw in the video. So they're able to go through and answer those. And then I can just pull that up. I can get, it's a great way for me to look, see what are they getting, what are they not. You can do any worksheet that you want. You can create it into a slide and then turn it into a Nearpod draw it feature, and then it acts like a virtual worksheet. And you don't have to worry about students going back and remembering to upload it to Canvas or D2L or Google Classroom. It's all right there. And you can access it later. Here is the vocabulary matching data. So we played a vocab game. I could see that in most students, they got all 12 terms in 12 tries. There was one student who it took them a 13th try to get that. And I can also see that they completed everything. On the bottom left, we have the poll data. And so that's just me asking a poll, like giving them options, and then I can look at the percentage and look at the responses. And then this one's a really cool one. It's the collaborate board. So you can ask a question and then your students will type their answer and it posts automatically in real time. You can moderate this to where you want to read over their responses before it gets posted to make sure there's nothing inappropriate. You can do that as well. And then there are lots of different ways that you can use this in class. I have it where if students, like someone's response, they click the little heart just to, build rapport in the classroom between students. And then this is a session report example. So on the left-hand side, we have the number of students, the percentage of participation, and quizzes. Now with quizzes, that's always on the Nearpod report, even if you don't have a quiz. And then I can go through, I can see who all was there. I can see what activities they did or did not do. And then here on this, you can't see it as well, but I have an open-ended question, a draw it, and then the collaborate board was part of that. And so I would have to pull up that collaborate board and look at those responses. The one downside about Nearpod is if a student gets disconnected and rejoins, it counts them as a new participant, and so then you might have to piece their data together. So if somehow they disappeared halfway through the lesson and then joined back, you'll have to look at 2 different participants to get all their data. And then here we have an example of an open-ended question. I can go through and just see who responded. And I really like this because then it's a lot easier for me to go through and look for whole class patterns, look at the kinds of errors that they're making as a class, because it's all right there for me to see in one spot. I don't have to sit there, look at Johnny's paper by itself, write down all the errors, look at Sarah's paper, write down all the errors, and so on and so forth. I can look at it in one spot, and it's easier for me to figure out those whole class errors. Now, nothing in life is free, unfortunately. Well, they do have a free plan, actually. It's the silver plan. My issue with it is it's very limited in how large of a presentation you can build, and also the amount of storage you get on the Nearpod site, because it takes your Google Slides and imports it to the Nearpod site. So I have actually paid for the gold version, so it's $120 a year, and it's great. I've never run out of room. My presentations can be as big as I need them to be. I can have all the videos, all the pictures, everything that I need in a lesson. schools do pay for this. They do. So your district may have already paid for this. You just need to look and see. I know Washington County schools have paid for it. You just have to go in and log in with your county account. So that might be something you want to look into. I know this was really quick. So if you have any questions at all about Nearpod